welcome to an impromptu episode of the Nerdynomicon. I'm Robbie.
I'm Brooke, and we don't know where Adrian is because we didn't call him.
It is about 9:40 on Wednesday night in New York, and we are getting ready to watch American Horror Story.
Woo.
So we've been waiting on this for like the summer. If you haven't been keeping up with our other episodes, we've been kind of bitching, complaining, and theorizing about all of the different trailers that they've been putting out now.
We actually haven't been looking it up all summer. It's just usually by this point the season has already been announced and they have trailers and like obviously they always start like it always has a similar theme like what they're doing with Scream Queens right now. They have like a fun stylized trailer like of like I don't know puppies and top hats or something crazy like that. That's never happened, but that'd be hilarious. And then they announce the theme and then they have like the real trailer of like clips from this upcoming season.
Right.
But it's now the day and that has not happened and no one knows what the theme is, so it's like what's happening.
And they've been running like a contest to see who can guess it. You know, you could win a car if you guess this year's theme.
Yeah, no one's winning a car.
And you know they've been doing this for a few years with kind of like subversive trailers. Like my personal favorite one was still in season 4 with the clown and the angel wings.
That's not an official trailer.
I know, but that was what I was talking about, like a harbinger, you know?
There's a theory that it was an official trailer that was leaked early, so they just said that it wasn't real.
Yeah, I've heard that theory. If that was the case, I wish I would have seen more of that and less of, you know, what we got, because, you know, I still say that they killed Twisty way too early. He was a really cool villain.
We all think that.
So, but here's the thing. We're going to find out in like 15, 20 minutes what the actual theme of this is. Now, there have been a lot of really cool trailers and a lot of trailers, not so much. Now, you even told me that they found something online saying that it was American Horror Story The Mist. That was like leaked.
I've heard that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that.
Right. I didn't see that. You told me about that. I trust you.
I pointed it out to you.
Yeah, you pointed it out to me. I just didn't find it organically. You found it and you're like, hey, check this out. I'm like, no shit. Well, that was one of the lamer trailers there.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite trailers have been the one with the baby when it reaches up and grabs the knife. You know, maybe hearkening back to season 1 with that demon child.
My favorite... I liked all the ones in the cornfield.
Oh yeah, the cornfield ones were good.
And I liked like the weird like scarecrow people coming and the
right.
I didn't like the alien ones because I don't. The thing is, horror and sci-fi horror.
Aliens.
It was sci-fi horror and horror are two completely different genres.
Right.
Like I just feel like if they're gonna do sci-fi like horror, it has to be like Aliens or what is that one where they're on the spaceship and they go through the hell dimension?
Oh, Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Thank you.
Yeah. Great movie, Lawrence Fishburne.
If they're going to do something like that, then they have to go full sci-fi. I feel like Aliens is hard to make work and not be hokey. If you're going to go sci-fi, they need to go like full sci-fi horror.
Yeah. You can't just give us just the tip when it comes to aliens.
No, you have to. If you're going to do it, you got to do it like Event Horizon. Like
right.
Go to the hell dimension, have fun.
Right.
Oh, that's a weird movie.
It was a good movie though.
No, it is.
Very underrated.
Put them in a spaceship. That would I would not be opposed to an American Horror Story like space.
Well, the problem with that is it gets out of the territory of it being an American Horror Story and starts being intergalactic horror story.
True. That's true.
And they've already given us aliens. They already tried to shove big alien dick into us in season 2.
Well,
and that was one of the only things in season 2 I didn't like.
I know they're not going to do it, but I would love them to do like their interpretation of Silent Hill. I think that would be so awesome because they have a whole season. The problem is I don't think Ryan Murphy can be subtle. And with something like Silent Hill, what makes it scary is all the subtlety. It's like that's why when you finally see Pyramid Head in number 2, you're like, holy Lord, where did that come from? Because the rest of the game is like you're just walking around a derelict, I don't know, apartment building. Because you see him in an apartment building. Yeah, the very first time, yeah. He's raping mannequins. Is he raping mannequins?
He's raping mannequins.
I never understood what was going on there.
Yeah, he was raping a mannequin the very first time you see him.
Was he raping it? I mean, or was the mannequin into it? I mean, it's a mannequin.
Are you slut-shaming the mannequin?
No, I was just making...
Are you victim-shaming the mannequin in Silent Hill 2?
I just don't want to paint Pyramid Head... Not all Pyramid Heads, okay? Not all Pyramid Heads.
Hashtag Pyramid Heads matter. You know, Pyramid Head lives matter.
Not all Pyramid Heads are rapists, okay? I mean, there's only technically one Pyramid Head, which really bothers me that he shows up in other video games.
Yeah, actually there's 3 of them in Silent Hill 5.
He has nothing to do with Cheryl and her storyline.
Right.
He's actually like a manifestation of James's guilt. I mean, hashtag spoiler to people who haven't played Silent Hill 2, which came out and I was like 7.
Yeah, that game is... it's cult status, all right? If you don't know the story behind Silent Hill 2, shame on you. Why are you listening to this channel? Shame on you. Yeah. Should have played Silent Hill 2 decades ago. Yeah. Or at least a decade ago.
No, decades ago. 10 years ago, it was 2006, and that came out way before.
Oh, no, I realize that. I'm just giving them time to, finish up their backlog. No, I was
not slut-shaming the mannequin. If Pyramid Head was truly raping the mannequin, then I feel like he should be persecuted for those crimes. But
I get that.
That has nothing to do with this. Anyways, my point of my matter was I would love them to do, like, an American Horror Story silent, but I don't think that Ryan Murphy can be subtle enough.
Right.
Because it would have to be a lot of, like, seeing things out of the corner of the eye and...
Yeah.
Like, hold on, excuse me. And like things being in a different position, like what Stanley Kubrick did with A Clockwork Orange, where he would move things subtly between takes, just to constantly disorient you. Even he would never make a big point out of it. It was just he would slightly move like the telephone, or he'd change the color, and you'd be like, and he wouldn't make a big deal out of it. Right, you'd get very disoriented. So I think,
or even like John Carpenter in the original Halloween, how he always framed it so that there was something else in the shot. Yeah. So you always had that paranoid feeling.
It would have to be very, very subtle, and it would have. And the thing is, you couldn't have big characters. You'd probably only really be able to have one character, and then the other characters would jump in and out. But it would have to be like one person on. I think they have an amazing cast, but I'm not sure.
They've got way too many big actors. Angela Bassett,
like, say they followed like who I personally love. Say they followed Evan Peters. It would just it would be like, can Evan Peters be the only person on screen for 15 episodes? Like, because there would be entire episodes where he'd have to be the only person on screen. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if like a Lady Gaga could be in one episode.
I doubt it.
And the rest of the time you see
we're talking about a woman that wore a meat dress to an award show.
I mean, technically Sarah Paulson is only in one episode of season 1.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they couldn't do it. I'm just saying, like...
But Ryan Murphy's probably not the one to do that.
One actor in the American Horror Story roster who could basically run the entire... Like, it would have to be... You'd have to feel really isolated. You'd have to feel very alone. And it would have to be entire... Like, let's just...
It would have to be a character piece.
Like, go with Evan Peters, who I personally love. It would be like... But the other thing is, would you want to watch Evan Peters by himself in a room for... And that's what it would be. Actually, I do. I love Evan Peters.
To be honest with you, I would have said no up until last year, but he really crushed it in Hotel. I thought he was amazing in that.
The other thing is, like, I know Ryan Murphy enough to know he'd probably make the main character a female, which is good. Because the thing is, Silent Hill is all guys. That's what I always liked about that, is that it was like a guy fighting for his daughter as opposed to like...
Silent Hill 3 was Heather's story. Yeah. But it was also the second part and the continuation and the conclusion of the first game.
But I mean, that's not important. But the point of the matter is, and the thing is it would probably be a younger girl, and I don't think any of the younger actresses he has are talented enough to... Don't get me wrong. I think Emma Roberts
Emma Roberts and
I personally can't stand the actress who plays Violet. No offense to her. I'm sure she's lovely. But I could not stand Violet, and I could not stand Zoe. I just don't know if it was just the way he wrote them.
I hear you. Yeah, I wasn't a fan myself.
I don't know if it's the way he wrote them or not. It was just, I could not... And I thought it was just me being unfair because I didn't like Violet, but then I watched Coven, and I couldn't stand Zoe. So I don't know if it's just the way he writes her.
Coven was weak. Coven was really weak.
I don't know. I've never seen the actress in anything else, so I can't say. But I don't think he has any young enough actresses who could be talented enough to pull it off. And I guess... He really he already gave Sarah Paulson her character study. I think season 2 was Sarah Paulson's character study.
It was. I mean, the thing about doing what you're talking about,
which would, because she played 2 characters.
That's true.
I think Sarah Paulson's already had her character study, and no offense to Lady Gaga, Jessica Lange could be the main character, but
Kathy Bates.
But I don't think. That genre doesn't work with an older actress, even an older man.
Agreed.
But the thing is, like,
that story arc, you mean,
wouldn't work either. You need somebody younger to pull off like a Silent Hill storyline.
Yeah, and
I think Sarah Paulson would be the oldest you'd want to go with, and they've already done her character study. So for me, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if there's any one actor on that. He'd have to go outside. He'd have to bring somebody in,
right?
Because there's actors I think could do it that would be really interesting. I'd love to see them do it, but...
And, he's known for bringing new actors into the fold, and then, others leave. Like, Zachary Quinto was in for a while, and I don't think he's back. Jessica Lange's been in for 4 seasons, then she's gone. Kathy Bates came in, season 4, I think? Maybe season 3?
She was in Coven. She was
in Coven? Yeah, she was in Coven. You're right.
She was the main bad guy in Coven.
You're right. She was in Coven. Angela Bassett was started up in season 3. So, people come in and out all the time. But more than anything, I don't think Ryan Murphy is the director to do something like American Horror Story silent.
Well, he's not a director. He's the writer.
Well, I thought that he also directed.
He does, but he's the writer.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, I feel like if they ever did do American Horror Story silent, which would be my dream.
Right.
it would have to be such a character study because Silent Hill is such a character, or a story like Silent Hill is such a character study.
Right.
The other thing I'd really like to see is like a Jonestown or Children of the Corn cult. But again, I feel like he'd throw too much at it, and that's another one that's gonna. It would have to be the cult. Would have to be the story. Like
right.
That would have to be the story, and you couldn't add that in the kitchen sink because that would start to get weird.
And that's where you go with Ryan Murphy territory. Is you'd get the cult, you'd get a werewolf, you'd get a demon,
you'd get talking. That's the thing is I'd love to see like a cult. I think that like a Jonestown type cult or like I think that would be so interesting. Like I don't even have a problem with like that VHS. Remember how VHS? Yeah. Where they walk into the Doomsday Cult.
Was that 2 or 3?
It's 2.
Oh, that was a really good one.
Considered the best VHS snippet. Where they walk into the Doomsday Cult and they're like looking for somebody or something.
Yeah. Well, they were doing a docu-study on it.
Spoilers, at the end there actually was a demon.
Yep.
That would be okay. To me, that would be fine where there actually is like some kind of demon, like whatever they're worshiping is real.
Yeah.
But I think what's scary about a cult is just the fact that like one dude or 2 dudes or literally are controlling people. Like, I would do like a Jonestown mixed with like a Manson family thing where like they go and murder a bunch of people. And actually that's really what happened at Jonestown.
Yeah, basically.
They murdered that that senator who came down to figure out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They killed him at the airfield the same day that they killed themselves. The thing I never realized though about Jonestown is anyone who didn't want to commit suicide got murdered. Like very few people made it out alive, and there were people who changed their mind and didn't want to kill themselves,
and then they were killed.
And they were killed by the death squad, which I find. I think that Jim Jones was a fucking coward, though. He should have stayed alive and.
Yeah.
He killed him. He didn't even drink the fucking poison. He shot himself. What a coward.
And the thing is, we're also talking this way about what we want to see because there's over 20 trailers. Each of them appearing to have a different theme. We've got one that looks like an old monster movie, like Creature from the Black Lagoon type deal. We've got that baby one I was talking about. There's that one for The Mist, which, we found online that was leaked and then immediately pulled down, which I'm going to say was a red herring.
Probably.
Because they seem to have this shit on lock.
Another thing I think they could do a really good job with would be like a true crime with a supernatural twist. So it's like...
You mean like True Detective horror story type deal?
Basically, like, I think it'd be really cool. Like Sarah Paulson and like Evan Peters could be cops, like, detectives. Like an Olivia Benson and an Elliot Stabler. And they're investigating a series of murders, kind of like what they did with the hotel. But instead of having it ending up at the hotel with vampires and stuff, that could go into like a doomsday cult, like run by Angela Bassett. They could also like you could bring in like the Mexican death cults.
Ooh,
like
the
Mexican
ones that like worship like Santa Muerta
and they like
everything?
kill people, and then they're like also a drug dealer.
Right
I feel
on.
like that could be a really so you're having Evan Peters and like Sarah Paulson trying to like stop like an Angela Bassett like death day.
Remember that movie that came out a couple of years ago with Venezuelan Jon Snow and Joel McHale was in it? It was like Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep or something.
Yeah. Venezuelan Jon Snow. Don't worry, Venezuelan Jon Snow has us on lock.
Hashtag the prince that was promised.
Just like
he did.
I thought it was Kit Harington. I'm like, Kit Harington doesn't have an accent.
Kit Harington doesn't look like that. Kit Harington doesn't look like. Dude, you gotta lighten up on the bronzer, bud. Yeah. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Kit Harington. It was Venezuelan Jon Snow.
Shit on lock. But I feel like that could be really cool. Like,
right.
Like you could argue they kind of did that with Hotel, but it's kind of different when the main detective turns out to be the killer. It's kind of like, because I feel like you could bring in a lot of Ryan Murphy stuff into that storyline and still keep it. I just think that'd be cool. But it'd be cool if they shot it like a documentary or like a true crime show as opposed to like a horror show. That's what I would also, and I'd call that one like I feel like they could call that like American Horror Story like detective.
Yeah, like I was saying, True Detective with a horror story flair. That would be cool.
I think that'd be cool, like American Horror Story Detective.
That would be cool.
I think that would be really interesting.
Because you can open it up to so many things,
Sarah
too.
Paulson and Evan Peters have been together for so long, like in the show. I feel like
they've got a good rapport.
They would have a nice rapport. Like I feel like the reason I'd cast them as the cops is I can actually see it in my mind, them as the cops and like being like buddies.
Right.
And then like you could have like the guy who played Dandy and Tristan, he could be like in the cult and like, because I feel like he's like the perfect cult member. Like
I can agree with that.
I feel like he'd be like, and you could even have like
He does kind of remind me of a homeboy that runs the Church of Scientology.
Yeah.
He really reminds me a lot of that. Now, granted, like that's him as an actor, too. So that's acting. Yeah. Homeboy from Scientology, that ain't acting. That's crazy. I just feel like
I could, like, cast everyone. Like, so you could have, like, all the young actresses they've had as, like, the young cult girls that go out and get people. And then you could have, like, Angela Bassett as, like, in there. And I feel like Kathy Bates would be, an old cop. Like a cop,
right?
Or somebody who's like trying to look for a family member or something like that, and that's what I'd love to see. I don't think that's what they're going to do. In fact, I think both of my ideas are never going to get done. But that's what I'd like.
Well, that's because both of your ideas rely so much on subtlety, and that's not their bag.
And then my third idea that I'd love to see happen, which won't, is I'd love to see them do like the elevator game and go into the other worlds,
like ritual pastas or legend tripping or something. Well, that's something I would love to see.
There was a theory for a really long time that the Slender Man was the theme this year.
Oh,
but I knew they weren't going to do that after the Slender Man murder.
Yeah, that would kind of be in bad taste.
The Slender Man attack.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, two girls thought they were the Slender Man commanded them to try to murder their friend.
Yeah,
and it's like a really big deal because they were 12-year-old girls and they almost murdered this girl. Like, it's really a messed up case.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Mr. Creepypasta, after that took place, actually went out and stated, guys, these are fictional stories. Like, up until that point, he tried to pass everything off as, fact and everything. Immerse yourself in the terror. He actually took a step back and was like, no, dude, these are works of fiction. Stop it. Stop it.
So I don't necessarily want them to do that because I feel like they've done things similar to Slender Man. So to me, I'm kind of like, eh. But I'd love to see... Actually, I might actually just write it myself. Is like... them have to go into the other world, which is where the elevator game is supposed to take you. Don't play the elevator game.
No, don't do this. Don't play that. Don't do Hattori Kekarembo. Don't do any of that shit.
And
Three Kings, don't do it.
The thing is, the problem they probably wouldn't do that is because that's like Stranger Things, the other world.
So the Upside Down?
They probably wouldn't do something like
that's
that.
True.
But I think it would be like cool to see them have to go to like another dimension.
Mm. I think we got time for about 2 more before we got to head in there and watch it.
Well, we're DVRing it. It's fine.
One that I really would love to see, just because I love Are You Afraid of the Dark and like the old, kind of scary stories. I'd love to see something to do with like camping in the woods. You know what I mean?
The problem with that is I feel like it would
like
get so
Phantom
kitschy.
Cab or Watcher's
I feel like
Woods.
They get so kitschy with it. Like they do like an homage to like Friday the 13th, and they'd get really kitschy with it and really like. And I just
you're right.
To me, the thing that kills them is they get kitschy. That's what happened to me with Coven. Is it got to like, you go girl. Like it was very like. I feel like they need to leave that stuff for Scream Queens.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that works better in Scream Queens.
And also, why the hell do they keep on trying to force musical numbers down our throats with American Horror Story?
Because Ryan Murphy does not understand subtlety. Like, don't get me wrong, the man is a genius. Nip Tuck, Glee, and American Horror Story. Like, whose brain comes up with those 3 things?
Popular.
I mean, with the exception of, like,
I loved Popular.
Aaron Sorkin, who always kind of writes the same thing, but I mean, he's just
basically
amazing at it.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan Murphy's brain, the things that Ryan Murphy has gotten on TV is, like, spectacular. Like, there wouldn't be a Bates Motel if there wasn't for, American Horror Story.
It's true.
I mean, also,
Very true.
People versus OJ is supposed to be amazing.
Yeah, like I caught some of that. It's really good.
The guy gets on TV, and, like, not only gets on TV, but, like, makes it last.
Mm-hmm.
The man's a genius. Yep.
But he has a problem with the second act.
The problem I have with it, Scream Queens, too, is another thing that should not exist, but it does.
Yeah, again, problem with the second act. Starts out great guns and it ends excellent.
It happened with Glee. It happened with Nip Tuck. It happens with this one. It's the reason I don't like Scream Queens, is the guy takes everything he can think of and he just throws it at the damn wall, and it's like, dude, you gotta stop. And I'm not the only person who says this. Other people have, like, complained. It's like, you gotta calm down. And so that's my problem with Ryan Murphy, is I feel like there's a lot. He has great ideas, but the guy needs to learn. He's like the Stephen King of TV. That guy needs a fucking editor. Like, you don't need 37 episodes to explain the color of Evan Peters' jacket. Like, we get it. Evan Peters is a cute boy. Like, we get it.
I didn't like him as Tate.
I
hated him as Tate.
I loved
But then again, I also didn't like Tate and Violet, their entire story
Violet
arc.
killed Tate to me. Like, I genuinely liked Tate a lot. I thought that was a really interesting take on, like, the house basically drove him crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that part of it was cool.
So annoyed by the sappy, like, I love you. And I was like, oh my God. If you guys weren't already dead, spoiler to season 1.
Yeah.
I would kill you because you're so annoying.
Spoiler alert on this. The one thing I did like is I did not call that Violet was dead. and became a ghost.
That was
amazing.
I
did not call that. That was an excellent twist.
That was amazing.
But that's exactly the type of shit I'm talking about because it drove me so crazy.
Yeah,
I almost wanted to stop watching. And Ryan Murphy's perfect at this. I get to the point where I want to stop watching, and then the last 2 or 3 episodes of the season, he wraps it up and it's phenomenal. Like, you string me along with all this crap, I'm almost ready to leave, and then the next episode, you redeem yourself.
Yep. No, I feel the same way.
Tighten up the sex. Shape up, Murphy. Shape up.
In terms of Evan Peters' characters, I think my favorite character is probably either Jimmy Darling from Freaks.
He was good.
Or Kit from, Kip from Asylum.
What was his character name in Hotel? Because I thought he crushed that.
Mr. Marsh.
That one. I thought he crushed that. The amount of
he was excellent.
Swag
he was
and
so good.
You know that. How you doing there, baby doll? 23 skidoo. You know,
he was excellent.
He really crushed it.
He's a great actor. I mean, I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just saying in terms of the actual characters.
Right. Jimmy, he did great.
Jimmy was probably my favorite.
The reason I love Jimmy so much, though, is I just felt so much of Ben Foster's character. Or not Ben Foster, Jesus.
Nick Stahl.
Nick Stahl, thank you. Nick Stahl's character from Carnival.
You know what I have to say? One thing I have to call out Ryan Murphy on is he's very lucky. So few people probably saw Carnival because he ripped off so much Carnival.
He really did.
Like, even the shots. If you watch Carnival and then you watch American Horror Story Freaks, he just ripped off so much. Like I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but I was waiting for Clancy Brown's character to show up and start testifying. Because I was like, you've just ripped off
Ben Hawkins. Thank you, Ben Foster. It was Ben Hawkins was his character.
But then again, that's how I feel about Scream Queens. Is he's lucky that like
he ripped off
Heathers.
Right.
Like I feel like he just ripped off Heathers. Like not necessarily the storyline, but the color scheme and the character. Like they're all named Chanel. Like they're all named Heather. And then the one girl comes in like the Veronica. Like you just ripped off Heathers. Like let's just. I'll be honest with that.
And I personally didn't care for Heathers. I did like Scream Queens, but I mean, depending on where you fall on the fandom, he's also ripping off and making it the lesser of the two. Like, if I had to pick between American Horror Story Freak Show or Carnival, I'm going to pick Carnival every time. Because Carnival was so ahead of its time. David Knopf was so ahead of its time.
If Carnival came out now and like it took the spot of like Game of Thrones when Game of Thrones is off the air, it would have been a hit.
Oh, it would have blown up. It would have blown up.
It came too early because they needed Game of Thrones to come in. Carnival is so good. Carnival, especially like now especially with Twin Peaks coming back.
Yes.
This is when Carnival should hit.
I completely
feel like they
agree.
should like revive Carnival. Like I know they can't because I'm pretty sure like Nick Stahl is like dead or something. But
yeah, that's the only problem because Clancy Brown wants to do it. The guy that plays Jonesy wants to do it. Clea Duvall needs the fucking work.
I feel like Nick Stahl is too old to play Ben too.
Well, the way the story is supposed to go is it's supposed to take place several years after. They were supposed to be broken up into 3 separate volumes to span 6 years.
I have a lot of problems. The only problem I have is I think Clea Duvall is an amazing actress and I love her.
She was not pretty enough for Sophie.
She was not pretty enough for Sophie. And I'm sorry, like people are like, oh, that it shouldn't be about looks. It shouldn't be. But I feel like they talk about how pretty they actually bring up how pretty Sophie is, and I'm like,
when your attractiveness becomes an essential part of the plot.
The thing is, like, she's the love interest, and like, they talk about how beautiful the character is supposed to be.
Right.
And I'm like, Libby is way prettier than her, and I feel like Libby should be like trashier. The thing is, they even said, and I was reading the background story, is like Sophie is supposed to be like a gypsy. Like she's supposed to be like Roma. She's supposed to be darker.
Right.
I feel like a great actress for that role would have been the woman who played Inara.
Oh, she would have been amazing.
She's like what I see when I see
She would have
Sophie.
been amazing in that.
Like, I feel like that would have been,
Honestly, if they were to reboot it right now, new casting and everything, first off, still bring back Clancy Brown.
I feel like Evan Peters would be a really good Ben Hawkins.
He'd be phenomenal, and I would love Evan Peters in that role.
Really great.
I would love to see Mila Kunis in that role. I realize she's not as young as Sophie should be, but first off, she's fucking ageless.
She's gorgeous.
Secondly, she has that Roma look.
Who do I think? Well, that's so weird because she's Ukrainian. So
I realize
she might
that.
be Roma. Actually.
I realize that, but she has that look that Sophie should have had.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The entire time.
For Sophie, I feel like the woman who played Inara would have been perfect. She should have gotten the role.
I agree.
She's so pretty.
I completely agree. But that was way before Firefly. No, it wasn't.
No,
that wasn't before Firefly. They had no fucking excuse at this point.
I feel like there's a actress who's like on my mind, but I can't think of her name. And Emily Browning would be really good in that role.
Yeah, she would.
I like her. She would be really pretty. I think you just need a really pretty... She just has to be pretty. And she has to be dark. Like, I'm sorry, you couldn't cast, like, as much as, I hate to say it, you couldn't cast, like, a blonde in that role. Like, it would have to be...
No,
it wouldn't even
because they're supposed to be Roma. They're supposed to have that gypsy look to them.
Like, I love Sophie Turner. She plays Sansa. She couldn't play that role. And she's probably the prettiest girl on Game of Thrones. And
I'd agree.
She couldn't play that role.
The only female character on that show that I think could possibly play it is the girl that plays Yara if you dye her hair.
I was going to say Shay. She's not doing anything.
Shay. Oh, fuck. I forgot about Shay. You're absolutely right.
I feel
you're 100%
she's not
right
doing
about
anything,
that.
And the HBO seems to like to cast the same actresses. So
yeah,
I'm just
you're
saying,
100% right about that.
Shay was murdered.
Fuck, that's a good poll.
And I feel like...
Fuck.
And Evan Peters should play Ben Hawkins,
Yep, Ben Hawkins. We got to get
I think
Michael
a lot
Anderson
of the cast
back.
you could get back, but I mean, even like Libby, you'd have to go with someone younger now. So
unfortunately,
I'm sure they
she
could
was
find
perfect.
an actress. I mean,
she was so
you
good.
could probably find an actress. I don't know enough about the younger actresses, but I'm sure there's a young actress out there.
You'd have to get Michael Anderson back. Nobody can play Brother Justin Crowe like Clancy Brown. Yeah. He was amazing in that role.
The thing is, though, he's so much older now that I feel like it adds a weird layer to like the Ben Hawken, Sophie, Brother Justin.
Yeah,
thing.
It does.
Like you'd have to have somebody younger now.
It does, but I don't know. He was definitely the best part of.
He wasn't the best part because I like.
No, Jonesy. He wasn't the best part. Jonesy was great. And I'm sorry, but Nick Stahl really did crush the role.
No, Nick
it was
Stahl
one of Nick Stahl's best roles.
He's an amazing Ben
But he just went off the rails, too.
Yeah, he was doing drugs and stuff. I don't know that. He could be fine now. But and the thing is, I feel so bad because Clea Duvall acted really well. She's a great actress, and I think she's a wonderful actress.
Yeah.
But to me, I just always felt like I don't buy her in this role because the character... When they go out of their way to talk about how beautiful the actress is...
Yes, then you need to be a 10.
Like, they talk
or
about
at least a good solid 8.
They talk about how beautiful Sophie is. Like, she's supposed to be, like, this effortlessly gorgeous girl. And I'm like, Clea Duvall's not ugly, but she's not pretty. Like, she's not a pretty girl. Like, you needed somebody...
And that's why Clea Duvall is such a goddamn good actress, too. I mean, she crushed it in season 1 of Heroes. She's great in her cameo in The New Girl. Mm-hmm. I've loved her in everything I've ever seen because she's such a great actress.
If Megan Fox was a better actress, she'd be a good Sophie.
Oh, dude, excellent poll.
But if she was a better actress, don't get me wrong, she crushed it in New Girl. But
that was also because of the comedic timing, too. And also, you're acting on the other side of that cast.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Zooey Deschanel there,
that's a cast
Jake
I feel
Johnson.
Like brings you up. Like, I feel like that's a cast.
You rise to that cast. Yeah.
But, actually, the woman who played Cece, if she was like 10 years younger, would have been really good, too. Although she's Indian, not Roma.
That's the only reason I would kind of hesitate to it. However, if I was directing it, I would find a role for her.
But what do I think is going to be this season of American Horror Story? Something that starts out great, gets really stupid, and ends awesome.
Yeah, like Ryan Murphy does.
I'm going to say...
But right now's the exciting time.
American Horror Story, demons, vampires, witches, oh my. I'm just kidding. They've already done all 3. I'm going to say Children of the Corn.
See, your mindset's right where mine is.
Children of the Corn, day school taught by the Trunchbull from Matilda.
I'm going to say American Horror Story in a cornfield with some type of cryptozoological creature, because I don't remember that one, with a demon, an axe or machete wielding maniac, and a flaming homosexual stereotype that should offend way more people than it does.
I'm going to say Wicker Children of the Corn.
Wicker Children of the Corn? I'm going to say... Fuck, that's good. Yeah. I'm going to say Wicker Children of the Corn, too. All right, agreed. Wicker Children of the Corn.
Cult that also has children that eat people.
Nice.
And then, for good measure, Choopy's going to show up. Chupacabra.
I like it. You're going into the cryptozoology. I feel like
we need to add one weird one.
Yeah, something that you haven't done.
Some form of serial killer will show up, even just for an episode, because there's always a fucking serial killer. And you're right. Or machete. Some homosexual stereotype that should offend way more people, but because Ryan Murphy does it, everyone's cool with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, but for the love of God, man, tokenism does not offend as many people as it should.
It does when it's Asian characters. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know. But enough about this. Let's go watch the show.
Let's do it.
We'll be back in a few seconds. And, well,
an
hour
we're gonna watch
for
the show
us.
right now.
Yeah, we're an hour for us, a few seconds for you guys, and we're going to talk about what we just saw.
We actually might record tomorrow.
Here at Buffalo Comic Con, we made a lot of friends. We made a lot of contacts and a lot of cool people, but there's one friend in particular I'm going to tell you guys about, and this is endorsed by not only Nerdynomicon, but also Couldn't Be Models.
Hi, I'm Michelle Cromwell with Cromwell's Curiosity Shop, and we have a booth at pretty much all of the local comic book conventions, and we sell polymer clay jewelry that is mostly cameos, but we're spreading out into other stuff, and the entire purpose of our shop is to provide cosplay pieces for people that have historical superhero costumes or unusual anime costumes that are original, that are looking for pieces that they cannot find anywhere else.
Oh, we love cosplay here at Artful Gremlins, okay? We love cosplay so much, but we also have a lot of international listeners. Where can they find your stuff online?
All of our stuff online is at www.cromwell.biz. We are also on Etsy, and we are also on Facebook under Cromwell's Curiosity Shop.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it here. You want cosplay? You need to go to Cromwell. Cosplay, Cromwell. It's synonymous, man.
So we just finished the first episode of American Horror Story Season 6, My Roanoke Nightmare. It was amazing.
Yeah, I really don't understand what the hell was happening here. All right, you look like you just discovered something because you're online right now. What did you just see?
Episode 11 of Season 1.
First off, major spoilers for the premiere of American Horror Story Season 6, Episode 1. So to get started, we've got Shelby and Matt, okay?
Played by two different people because it's basically like a show within a show, like A Haunting Inn, if you watch those shows. So it obviously...
Like Paranormal Witness, stuff like that, like on
it's
Sci-Fi
like
Channel. I love those shows.
Just explain the story and then actors reenacting it.
Right.
It's so good.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. Lily Rabe playing the quote-unquote... Reb, my mistake. Playing the quote-unquote, real person. And then Sarah Paulson
is playing her.
Exactly. Cuba Gooding Jr. Nice to see him in front of a camera again. I've missed Cuba Gooding Jr.
I love him.
And he was crushing it in the episode, too.
He was, I agree.
So the whole concept is they move from L.A. after he gets horribly assaulted after a bunch of gangbangers play the knockout game. They end up moving to Virginia. North Carolina?
Roanoke is in North Carolina.
I thought it was Roanoke, Virginia.
No, it's Roanoke, North Carolina.
Well, my mistake. All right, so Carolina then. So they move into this beautiful old house.
It was good. It was the mother in me was like, oh my God, I want to buy that house for Max to play in.
So they end up moving into this beautiful house, outbidding a group of hillbillies, which is never good. You hate to see that. That's a rookie move in horror, okay?
Especially if you're half black-white couple.
Exactly.
It's never good.
Exactly. So they move in, and then creepy things start happening involving torches and colonial-looking people that kind of looked like the Pilgrim from 13 Ghosts, but I digress. But there was just so much yes and so little no about this episode. Now, granted, Ryan Murphy is good about that in most cases. He usually starts out great guns.
Usually I was thinking back, every single episode of every single first episode of every season, including 3, which I hate, is good. The first episode is always good. Then he starts adding everything in the kitchen sink, and it's like, dude, why did you need to add black rainbow gay unicorn that's also a tiger? You didn't need to add that many things. You get one thing.
But at the same time, they've all been good, but I cannot think of another season that's been this good. I mean, this one really hit me.
Freak Show was really good.
Freak Show was really good for the reasons that we've already talked about. And Murder House, I mean, it got me on the first episode as well. But there was something about this one. Maybe it's because I love Paranormal Witness and A Haunting so much. I just love those shows anyway. So maybe this just appealed to something in me in my usual viewing anyway. But, all right, so going back to what you said, at one point, there is a dead pig that Cuba Gooding Jr. finds outside and has to bury. And then later on in the episode, they're watching this old home movie that they just happen to find, and it involves a man dressed up like a pig. Okay, so I started going online looking for lore, and I came up with the Chicago Pig Man from the early 1900s, who has kind of like a Bloody Mary urban legend to it. And mind you, this is true too. That has kind of like a Bloody Mary legend that goes with it, where if you say "here, piggy, pig" in the mirror 3 times, he should supposedly appear. There's another Pigman cryptid that is kind of like England's version of Area 51 or Roswell. So there's a cryptid with a pig head that allegedly lurks around England. But then I happen to stumble onto something, and it looks like you've stumbled onto the exact same website where we found out that this is the season that Ryan Murphy has said he's going to start linking the mythology between all the series.
In season 1, they were talking about how at Roanoke, the Native Americans had to exorcise a demon to get rid of all the, because of the ghosts in Roanoke community. They've kind of, because last season, technically they linked the seasons in Freak Show. With Pepper.
With Pepper. That was a link, but according to Ryan Murphy, he's going to start linking the mythos from each season. Like the overarching stories. Like maybe we'll get something to do with the baby from season 1.
We already know that Asylum and
Freak Show
are the same story. We know this.
Right.
We know this.
Yes, we know that. We know this.
And I feel like we know that. I feel like 1 was connected somehow. Because we saw this we know for a fact 1 and Hotel are connected because we see the same real estate agent.
Yeah, the same real estate agent.
Christine
That's right.
Easterbrook, who's from East Aurora, New York.
Nice.
Ooh, so many thoughts, so many opinions, so many, I don't even know. I'm so, woo.
All right, so we've got our answer. The theme for this episode, or for this season, rather, is My Roanoke Nightmare. I don't really understand where the parallel was with the trailer that they said was the official trailer, with the woman chopping the wind chime with teeth.
I think I don't think any of them were. I think they're all right and they're all wrong.
Yeah,
Probably
I don't know.
rained teeth. I guess it's the closest.
I guess, but I mean...
But I feel like the people in, the weird, marching scarecrows would be just as close.
Yeah,
or
like that Blair Witch looking shit.
Or the people with the glowing eyes in the weird period costumes, or the kids in the cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was no corn, but I feel like those seem to me more real, closer.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the wind chimes had to do with the house itself. I don't know, but it seems like this has a lot to do with the force surrounding the house.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know.
So, My Roanoke Nightmare is the official name for this season. So this episode started out, it went hard.
Yeah,
this
I feel
was probably
it's very I feel like it's Murder House Part 2.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt.
Because I love Murder House.
That's kind of how it felt to me too.
The best episodes, but it feels like Murder House Part 2.
I think personally that this was the best season premiere that I've ever seen out of this show. And season 1 got me into it. Freak Show, you mentioned about how good that one was.
I really liked Freak Show.
That was good. Hotel went strong on the first episode too, until Lady Gaga showed up.
I did not like Lady Gaga. I'm sorry, I don't know how she won the Golden Globe.
I have no idea.
Although I do think it's funny that everyone's like, well, because she didn't win the Oscar for Best Song, and everyone's like, oh, Sam Smith stole it from her, and then everyone's like, that's what she gets for stealing Kirsten Dunst's Golden Globe. So I agree with that.
It's a good point.
I don't think she did a good job. I don't understand how she won the Golden Globe last season. Not meant to rag on her because I actually think she's she's very talented. I think she's a really nice Madonna light.
Yeah, that's a good way to...
Which would make her Cher extra light. Because Cher is just, But I mean, good on her. I've always said she's great. She has a beautiful voice and she can write a great song. Or I don't think she writes the music, but she makes good music. Mm-hmm. I've always felt like there was a little bit too much hype about her. Because I've always felt like she was just doing what Madonna did. But I mean, good for her.
Yeah, good on her.
I also don't love her fake hair. It just bothers me. But that's just a personal thing. It has nothing to do with her. But I feel like she was really bad last season. Everyone's like, oh, she was so good. And I'm like, no, she just did the Kristen Stewart style of acting, which is apathy. And people think it's really good. And I'm like, no, the only person who can pull that off is Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
I didn't think she was that good. I actually felt I feel like she was doing her best Jessica Lange. I feel like that role was written for Jessica Lange.
I agree.
And when they couldn't get her, they were like, okay, well, who can we get instead? And I feel like this season, because I don't see where she could come in and be big and bold. I think it worked last season. If it did work at all, it's because she was playing a big, bold character. Right. She could wear pretty dresses, and she was
over the top.
She could go over. I feel like from what we've seen from this season, it's so subtle.
Right.
Thank God. It's I feel like everyone's gonna be like, oh, she actually can't act. Oh, yeah. She's not Ludacris, okay?
Ludacris can bring it. He's awesome. So what I liked about this episode, the way they're doing the season by the looks of it, is almost like a haunting or paranormal witness.
It's really good. It's really, really good.
You've got the talking heads that tell the story about what really happened.
And the actors reenact. It's really good. I was very, very happy with it.
So you've got Lily Rabb, for instance, playing Shelby's character as far as the talking head, and then you've got Sarah Paulson that's playing, her dramatic reenactor.
It's really good.
I was blown away. I really was blown away. I mean, you're right. Every single premiere episode is always good, but this one to me was just over the top.
Different. This one feels like it's going to be really good because I don't think he can throw everything in the kitchen sink at this episode. Like, I just feel like, don't get me wrong, he probably will manage to find a way to add like pink Easter bunny aliens or something like that.
Right.
And I'll be like, come on, dude. But, as of right now, I'm trying to be optimistic that we actually will get all the stuff we asked for. Like, it looks like we're getting a cult, which I'm so excited about.
Yes, it does look like that.
It looks like we're getting the chupacabra.
In some way, shape, or form, because that pig dude, I mean, I don't know. There is a cryptid in England known as the Pigman.
We're getting a cryptid of some sort, which is what I said by, chupacabra.
Right.
We're getting a cult, which is what I wanted.
Yes.
And we're getting, we're not going to get the Silent Hill, I don't think. But
I don't think so either, but remember, I even mentioned about a forest woods or something like that, and it looks like we're getting that, too.
So we might be getting what we want. I mean, if they can do subtle this season, I'd love to see them, like I said, do the ideas I had like yesterday or last night.
We're getting Kathy Bates looking horrifying, and
so
she brings it with that too.
Looks so good.
So I mean, I am blown away by what we just saw.
Yeah, I'm
absolutely
really
blown away.
I think it's gonna be a good season.
I mean, there were some things that kind of made me cock my head to the side, like for instance, raining teeth.
Those random girls.
The random girls.
Where did they come in?
That actually scared me because stuff like that. It was, and also the way they walked, they just kind of like looked over casually.
Where they go? Like, I feel like these people are either ghosts or they're stuck in a time loop.
Or remember that movie with Nicole Kidman? What was it? Not The Message. The Others.
That movie gave me nightmares. I was like 14 when I saw it.
Yeah.
No, The Others. That movie scared me to death. And everyone's like, why? And I'm like, think about it from the living people's point of view.
Yes.
That's the scariest. That's paranormal activity. Nonsense.
Yes, it is. Now,
basically, The Others is paranormal activity from Toby's point of view.
Right. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that technically speaking, they had a little bit of that going on in season 1, I think that might be a cool twist, how those girls are actually alive and like Shelby and Matt are dead.
No, because
but I don't think
talking
that.
Head, so I don't
yeah, you know what? That's true. That's true. I forgot about that. I'm trying to think like Ryan Murphy. It's we could do this, and they're all dead. Now I'm being Tim Burton, but
the thing I have to say though is the only thing is I don't think he'd do something stupid like it turns out that like they're all dead because they're giving interviews, and I just feel like that would be weird. Like that would be like, huh? So I get the impression they're all alive.
Yeah, you're right about that. I just didn't think of that aspect of it. You're 100% right. Which
kind of does ruin it a little bit because you're kind of like, well, they're not going to die. But I do think that they're all alive because I feel like this is trying to be like a, I survived or whatever. So I do think they're all going to live. Right. But I do think it's going to be like pretty intense. So I think it's going to be some kind of weird cult of, Roanoke and there's going to be a demon. And like I said, though, in season 1, episode 11, they did talk about Roanoke and Croatoa. So I feel like that was being set up for a really long time of like...
And it's been confirmed that Ryan Murphy said that he's going to start tying together the mythos.
He said they always were connected. They've always been one universe. It's not like they live in different... They're just people who... I always thought they were... This is what I've always thought, and I've actually thought of this when we started playing BioShock Infinite. I always thought they were, it was a multiverse, and that's why it's the same actors over and over again. Like string theory and everything. Like, Sarah Paulson in season 1, the psychic, is the same person as Lana Winters in season 2, who's the same person as the witch in season 3 is the same, but they just live in a different reality. That's kind of cool. And I mean, that brings in the sci-fi theory to it, but like the final season will be somebody bringing... So you'll see Evan Peters play Jimmy Darling and play Tate Landon, and they'll be like hanging out with each other, and you'll be like, yeah, I can't deal with Lobster Boy hanging out with School Shooter. Like, that's way too much horror going on right there. That's too much for my brain. I can't handle it. But that's what I think I think that's why he's used all the same actors. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's actually not the same universe. Like, obviously, there are some parallels, like Freak Pepper Show and Asylum are the same, right? And I know that Hotel and Murder House are the same because Hotel and Murder House had the same real estate agent. They have the same real estate agent, right? So I know they're the same, right? The only one they haven't connected 4 or 3. They haven't connected 3, which is Coven. And they haven't connected. That's it. Because 6 is right now. Yeah, that's the only standalone. Which I'm fine because to me, I realize it's a very popular season, but to me, it's the bastard child. People love it too. Like I've read a lot of like I've read a lot of like people ranking it, and it is literally. I actually was on BuzzFeed and it said rank your favorite, and it was number 3, and I was like, well, out of 5 seasons, that's very middle of the road. In my opinion, that should be like 5. Last, in my opinion, it's last. Usually last is Freak Show.
Really? Because I loved Freak Show.
Or Murder House.
They killed off Twisty way too fast, man. But really?
Asylum usually is like the thing is it's either Asylum and Murder House are usually either 1 or 2 or 4 or 5.
That's so weird, dude.
To me, weird. It's usually like
because those are the best 2 seasons.
I feel like
this one might take it. I don't know. The one thing that kind of made me remember that this was a Ryan Murphy show was there's a scene about 15 minutes in where you think that it's hailing outside, and it turns out that it's raining teeth.
Well, technically, it was hailing,
and then it just turned into teeth. Yeah. See, that's the thing. When I see it raining teeth outside, I don't think haunted house. I don't think about local terror. I don't think about, that. I think about the fucking apocalypse. I'm thinking I need to call Sam and Dean Winchester because they got that shit on lock.
Speaking of that, I saw a meme with the Impala sitting next to the Scooby van, and someone's like, oh no, some shit is going down.
Nice.
Like, they called the Scooby Gang and the Winchesters. All they have to do is call the Buffy crew, and then they got that shit.
The world's saved. Flat out.
I always wonder when I watch, American Horror Story, why they don't just call it the Winchesters.
Because they got this shit on lock.
They would have figured it out.
Paranormal Activity never would have gotten as many sequels as it did. The Winchesters got this, bro.
I'm surprised, but then again, I feel the same way whenever I watch Game of Thrones. I'm like, why does no one just call Rick and the crew? They could get rid of those damn White Walkers. They've survived 6 seasons. They can figure this bitch out.
You can't protect them, Rick.
You
can't protect them, John.
I have no problem with Rick being on the Iron Throne. I feel like he'd do a good job.
Right.
He's basically on the Walking Dead throne anyway.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, some people would argue Daryl.
That's because Daryl's
awesome. But I feel like
awesome.
Daryl would be a member of the Night's Watch.
I don't know about that, man. Brotherhood without banners, through and through.
Oh yeah, no, him and John would be buddies.
Yeah, for sure.
This is like great crossover. Somebody needs to write this.
Copyright Nerdynomicon.
Yeah.
That way we get royalties.
We could call it the Game of Walkers or the Walking Thrones or something.
Ooh, the Walking Thrones. That makes no sense, but I love it.
Yeah.
More of that, less of everything else.
And you could bring in Jesse to, regulate the spice trade. Oh, wait, no, I'm getting into the wrong.
Wrong mythos.
Getting into Dune.
Wrong mythos. All right, so I think we've...
Technically, though, I'm just going to say this really quickly. If Daenerys was smart, she'd call Walter, because he went from being a mild-mannered high school teacher to a fucking kingpin. And he didn't do it with no fucking dragons. So I'm just saying she would call him. I'm just saying, if I have to have an advisor, Tyrion Lannister or Walter White, I'm calling Walter White. He made the meth blue, Robbie.
All right, you know what? We're getting way off topic here. I think we've said pretty much everything that can be said about the premiere episode.
I'm sorry that my voice is going. I don't know. I guess I'm getting sick or something because I'm losing my voice. But American Horror Story, man, watch it with your eyeballs. The next episode coming up will be just me and Adrian and Steve, because I guess this has become me. This has become the me podcast. Robbie is going to do Comic-Con, so me and Adrian, and I can't go because I have to watch the baby, and Adrian can't go because he doesn't live here. So we're going to do a fun, getting to know you. Finding out the people behind the Nomicon.
Kind of like Nomicon behind the scenes?
Yeah.
I love it.
But it's like Nomicon after dark.
Nice. So that's all the time we have for you this week on the Nerdynomicon, man. I've been Robbie.
I've been Brooke.
And
Adrian's not here.
It's time to close the book on this week.